More. We've got Fat Profits Director Greg Smith with us. Greg, thank you so much for coming in. I mean, it would seem, unsurprisingly, that really the effects of the Gulf of Mexico oil spill are still dominating the firm's results and indeed their future plans. And the figure that we're focusing on this morning is that pre-tax charge of $7.7 billion for the third quarter, higher than analysts estimated.
Absolutely, obviously a pretty big number, and I think most of the costs are obviously getting out there now, and they're not quite at the end of the road, but certainly nearer to the end than the beginning. And interestingly, with that clarity, they are now looking to bring others into the fold. As was mentioned, they've sent Mitsui a bill. Halliburton had been pretty much stayed out of the limelight until fairly recently with the panel's findings. So now BP, having borne pretty much all the reputational and financial costs to date, will be looking to bring others into the fold.
They returned to profit in the third quarter, but it's still a decline in profit when we compare it to this time last year. And part of that is because of reduced production, because of that temporary moratorium on drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. But that was something that hasn't just weighed on BP, right? Its competitors like Shell also were impacted by this.
That's right. I mean, the moratorium on deepwater drilling in the Gulf was only lifted last month. It would be difficult for any company in those circumstances to punch above its weight, as it were. Obviously, high oil and gas prices have certainly helped, and margins have stayed strong in that regard. But yes, production has been weak. So really, I think now it's looking ahead. It's looking ahead. We've had this exceptional incident which has affected a lot of companies, including BP. What does the future hold? And
what are you expecting BP shares to do at the open? What sort of reaction are you expecting to these results? I mean, the shares have faced resistance around $42 since before the spill was capped.
I think we'll see some weakness. Of course, it's a bit of a surprise, the level of costs that have been taken. BP have been pretty prudent in its regard. Obviously, there has been, well, not a lot of clarity, but there has been a hint of a return to dividends, which will be good. See, BP highly regarded as an income stock in previous years, so that will likely be seized upon. Some positives need to be taken. The asset sales are progressing well. The balance sheet is being solidified, if you like. So I think there are some positives to be taken, but I suppose near term we probably are looking at some resistance on the share price, at least till the end of the year.
You quite rightly point out that where does the company go from here, the future of the company, and how much they're ultimately going to have to fork out for fines and punitive damages, because of course if they're found guilty of gross negligence, the company faces a US fine of up to $17.5 billion. But we're not even going to know that for some months or perhaps even years. I mean, how much is that uncertainty going to weigh on the company?
What is going to drag on, because ultimately this will be decided in the law courts. I mean, the two key parts of the puzzle are the cement, which we've had some clarity on, the blowout preventer, and that won't be decided for some time, but it will basically be fought out in the law courts, and that of course is going to weigh on any company's share price. But as I said, BP will be able to bring others into the fold in that regard.
And Chief Executive Bob Dudley, what do you make of the way he's handled this? I mean, he seems to have changed his approach in recent weeks from being purely apologetic for the spill to sort of saying, well, actually, we don't think it's very fair the way the media has dealt with us, and he's defending deepwater drilling plans. Is that the right strategy for the company?
I think he has handled it well. Deepwater drilling has been necessary for a long time for all the easy oil gone, so that's a very fair point. I think he's handled things quite capably in a difficult situation. I think mission critical for him and the company now will be safety. Will be ensuring as few incidents as possible happen going forward, and BP's reputation is restored in that regard, and that will also restore investor confidence as well.
Greg Smith, Managing Director of Fat Profits, thanks very much for coming in.